Hey guys, you're welcome to a brand new series known as Retro Review over on our lovely YouTube channel. We are starting back 30 years ago in October 1993, and we're going to look at games released in October from 30 years ago up to modern day, up to as little as 5 years ago. So I hope you enjoyed this nice journey through time from retro up to modern day. Let's get to it.
30 years ago.
Released to the home gaming consoles for the first time in September and October 1993, Mortal Kombat brought everyone's favourite arcade fighting game to living rooms worldwide. This game was well known for raising some serious controversy and being one of the key factors in the video game rating system we are familiar with today. Many parents have not seen the game personally while in arcades and were horrified by the amount of violence and gore this franchise brought after watching their children play it at home.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
While the outrage didn't do much to slow the progress of the franchise, with Mortal Kombat 2 releasing just months after the original game was ported, it marked one of the first times in video gaming history where the process of boycotting and banning of the game just made it all the more popular among consumers. The game has you playing as one of several selectable fighters in a tournament where Earthrealm and Outworld select champions to battle for control over the Earthrealm, in a martial arts competition with no rules except for the last fighter standing. The gameplay features mostly identical commands and controls for each of the playable characters, with little difference from character to character, such as no stats, no specific fighting styles, but do include special attacks for each character, including the series renowned finishing moves, aka fatalities. I also want people to sign a petition to bring back Twisty into the series. Sonic CD, released to the forgotten Sega System Mega CD way back in October 1993. Sonic finds himself in Neverlake on the fabled Miracle Planet where he meets a pink hedgehog named Amy. Later, Sonic and Amy encounter Dr. Robotnik, later named Dr. Eggman, who kidnaps Amy, leaving Sonic to rescue her and collect the Time Stones to save Amy, Neverlake, and Miracle Planet from Dr. Robotnik. The Legend of Zelda, Link Faces of Evil, and Zelda, The Wand of Gamelon, released to the Philips CD gaming system on October 10th, 1993. That's right, Philips, the light bulb company, tried to get into the video game market with Nintendo 30 years ago after a contract between Nintendo and Sony fell through, becoming the origin story of the PlayStation. These two titles released simultaneously and are based on the SNES style graphics and gameplay for The Legend of Zelda. In Link Faces of Evil, as you playing as Link, you start out as a restless and bored Link in the castle of Hyrule, considering a new adventure. Not long, a wizard comes to the castle to tell everyone Ganon is back and causing problems once again. This time with Faces of Evil, which are mountainous stone structures and resemble each dungeon boss, and only Link can stop him and restore balance to Hyrule once again. In Zelda Wand of Gamelon, as you playing as Zelda accompanied by Impa, the King of Hyrule and Link has gone missing while fighting Ganon's forces in Gamelon. Now Zelda and Impa have come to Gamelon to locate and save the King and Link. This leads the two on a quest to free the rightful leaders of Gamelon and obtain a Wand of Gamelon to defeat the evil Ganon. Did I say Gamelon enough times?
20 years ago.
Prince of Persia: Sands of Time released to first the Game Boy Advance in October, followed by consoles in November and December. Sands of Time opens in the Persian Empire in the 9th century as the prince narrates the opening of the story to an unseen listener. As he continues, the story cuts into a flashback recounting what happened as the game begins. You are playing as the prince on a journey to see Sultan Azad, who encounters a scheming vizier seeking immortality and power in the Sands and Dagger of Time. After being tricked into releasing the Sands of Time, you and Farah, the vizier's daughter, are left to recontain the Sands of Time and restore the natural order to the kingdom. Along the way though, a blossoming love story begins between the two, and they go from reluctant allies to soulmates throughout the game. Upon completing this task, the prince uses the Sands once more to reset everything to the way it was. This then gives us the epilogue, which returns us to the prince recounting these events to the unseen listener, who we now see is the reset Farah that no longer knows the prince. Gameplay has us traverse the kingdom parkour style and using the sand to reverse potential death from the plethora of traps and potential mistakes in combat from the many sand enemies along the way. Call of Duty released on October 29, 2003. Regardless of if you love or hate PvP and combat sim first-person shooter style games, you have likely played a Call of Duty game at least once. Call of Duty was the game that launched the incredibly popular franchise, eventually securing the place as the standard for modern PvP and combat sim and first-person shooters. As with all Call of Duty games, this game allowed you to play the popular PvP style game with little to no narrative against friends in a shoot 'em up free-for-all, or allowed you to play solo and co-op missions with a more narrative and strategic objectives, usually based on real military operations and practices during World War II. The game's main narrative sets the players in 1942 Europe at the height of World War II and allowed players to choose between playing as the Americans, British or Soviet army campaigns against the Axis powers. Released on October 21st, Castlevania Lament of Innocence was the first Castlevania game to come to the PlayStation from Nintendo, and it took full advantage of the PlayStation 2's power to give players a fully immersive 3D experience. Set in 1094, we're going back to the origins of the Belmont clan and their long tradition of vampire hunting. You are the Baron of the Belmont clan, Leon, and you've just learned from a close friend, Matthias, that a powerful vampire known as Walter Bernhard has kidnapped Leon's betrothed Sarah. Leon, with the help of an alchemist known as Ronaldo, team up against the vampire hordes. Sadly for Leon, he arrives too late to save Sarah, and she's already in the process of turning into a vampire, resulting in the untimely and tragic death of his lover. Leon, now fueled by anger, turns his attention to killing the vampire Walter Bernhard, resulting in the vampire soul being released. You see, what was really important about all of this story was what we didn't see play out. As the final cinematics of the game play out, we see the close friend, Matthias, meeting with death and being offered Walter's vampiric soul. This was Matthias's plan all along, for you see, Matthias is the true identity of Dracula, the series' main antagonist, and this was his origin story, not the Belmonts. Crisscross.
Are you saying you used me?
I remember being addicted to Tony Hawk and multiple Tony Hawk's games back in the day. Released on October 27th, Tony Hawk's Underground surfaced. This was the first Tony Hawk game to include both a full game narrative and the ability to get off your skateboard and walk around to achieve some extreme stunts and moves, truly putting you into the skate shoes of your character as they play through each level, attempting to gain a high score and perform specific tasks or tricks to unlock additional levels to the story. You play as an unnamed and voiceless protagonist. You get to customize your skater for the first time rather than picking from a pro skater, and with your best friend and later game's antagonist Eric Sparrow, as you compete to go from amateur to pro skaters. This game's narrative was praised for being highly realistic in terms of international competition and drama in the skating and extreme sports world, due to the fact the narrative was based on a composite of different real-life stories from pro skaters recounting their experiences becoming professionals, with all the good and bad that came with it. This game was the 7th in the massive Tony Hawk game franchise and remains the 3rd even today for top Tony Hawk games of all time. First being Pro Skater 3 and the second being Pro Skater 2.
10 years ago.
Batman Arkham Origins, released on October 25th. This game is bringing you back to the first days of Batman in Gotham. You play as the young and new to the scene Batman as he watches over Gotham and fights crime during Christmas Eve whilst the city is on curfew. While this game was a B title among the Arkham Gaming and didn't feature the usual voice cast for the characters, you cannot deny this game still holds a special charm for Batman fans. This game's main feature was focused on Batman's first encounter with the Joker, as well as other well-known Batman villains Black Mask, Bane, the League of Assassins, and his attempts to understand the insanity that is the Joker's mind. The Joker terrorizes Gotham City over the holiday season with bank robberies, planted bombs, and other goodies for Batman to take care of. Oh, and he's put a bounty on Batman's head, so there are like 6, 7, yeah, 8. There are 8 different bounty hunters and assassins from the DC universe after you, each with their own style of mayhem and tricks to get your attention. Even though this was not one of the top performers for the Batman Arkham series, it holds a special place in at least one of my writers' hearts each holiday season. Seriously, if you've never seen the Joker reveal,
Oh, life would be so simple if you were all I wanted. No, you're just a teeny little distraction compared to what I've got up my sleeve. Here, have a laugh on me. You hear that? Sounds like 8 tiny reindeer.
epic. Beyond Two Souls released on October 8, 2013. This is a choice-based action-adventure game that puts heavy emphasis on narrative and players' decision-making during the cut and action scenes. While other games prior to Beyond Two Souls used this kind of choice-based mechanic, such as Heavy Rain, this was one of the first games we got this kind of gameplay in a hyper-realistic graphic style, which blew away many players, even if the game was a little bit meh. This game felt as close as possible to playing some kind of interactive live-action movie at the time, due to using almost 100% motion captured animation, known Hollywood celebrities for main characters, voice and likeness, and a script fleshed out with as much as emotional drama as physical action during the gameplay. You play as Jodie Holmes, a young woman portrayed and motion captured by actor Elliot Page, formerly known as Ellen Page of course. Jodie has a strange paranormal ability as a result of being tied to a presence she calls Aiden. Aiden turns out to be the soul of her twin that died during delivery. Jodie was not told about. She is unaware of Aiden's link to her until the very end of the game. In addition to just making narrative driving choices with Jodie, you also get to make choices and perform actions as Aiden as well that drive the narrative by how you have Aiden perform during certain scenes. For example, your dead ghost of a twin cock blocking you during a date with your boss. Why yes, that is the scene in this game. Glad you asked. When you play as Jodie, you take control of her at key moments in her life as she learns to use her abilities and just attempted to be a normal person. The game jumps around in time through Jodie's life in a non-chronological order, but includes moments like her early childhood, thinking Aiden was a monster under her bed, being dropped off at a training and experimental facility as a preteen, living her awkward teen years in a said facility, and her rare encounters with other people her age. Also, such as being recruited by the CIA, American Black Ops training, CIA field missions, her blossoming into womanhood, her fleeing from the government and special facilities by living on the streets, etc. What Jodie doesn't know is her life and abilities have all been a study into controlling a place Dawkins calls the Infraworld, which is a tangible land of the dead, where the body's energies go when you die. The problem is that evil and demented people's energies also go there. And due to the work Dawkins has been doing in these secret and these malevolent energies are also leaking into our world and harming the general population. All the previous choices you have made through the events now finally come to head at the end of the game when Dawkins loses his mind and attempts to destroy the barrier between our world and the Infraworld using a device he has named the Black Sun. These choices and your performance in the final level result in one of several endings, from the super happy ending to the I failed and now the world is dying ending. LEGO Marvel Superheroes released on October 15th. Oh LEGO, I love LEGO and these games. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Oh, onto the recap. Yeah, the game starts out with the Silver Surfer being captured by Doctor Doom and the Surfer's board being shattered into cosmic bricks. Whilst being held prisoner by Doctor Doom, Silver Surfer reveals to him that the Galactus Silver Surfer's Formula Master is on the way to consume Earth. Dr. Doom, taking these warnings, teams up with Loki, who just so happens to be imprisoned on Earth, so they can collect the cosmic bricks of Silver Surfer's board and build the Doom Ray of Doom. Nick Fury, having also found out about Galactus and Doom's evil plans, now recruits his many Avengers to collect these bricks before the bad guys. As with most LEGO franchise games, this is an adorable and hilarious take on the Marvel universe and included callbacks and references to most Marvel movies.
5 years ago.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey released on October 2nd, 2018. This was the first Assassin's Creed game that allowed player choice between controlling a female or male protagonist throughout the gameplay. You could choose between Cassandra or Alexios of Sparta, which are brother and sister in the storyline. If you pick to play as Cassandra, the story will place Alexios as the main threat of the Cult of Cosmos, the main force working against you in the game. If you pick to play as Alexios, then Cassandra takes the place. The story is set in the 4th century BCE in the Greek Empire during the Peloponnesian War between the city-states of Athens and Sparta. The backstory of our main character is, while growing up in Sparta, your younger baby sibling was marked for sacrifice by the oracle and to be tossed from the peak of a mountain. On the night of his sacrifice, however, you push the priest over the cliff in anger for killing your sibling. You are also tossed over the cliff for killing the priest, but survive the fall and flee Sparta. Flash forward to 20 years later and you are a knight for hire called Misthios. In the Greek world, just trying to make an honest living when you find out the truth of your family's powerful origins and why the oracle marked your sibling for death. Oh, and your younger sibling is still alive and now being used by the Cult of Cosmos for the very people that try to destroy your family. Not only that, but they use this sibling as their strongest warrior and weapon of destruction. Your sibling now calls themselves Demios, which is the name of a child of Ares, which also means the personification of fear. The game allows you to explore the majority of ancient Greek world, encounter and run missions for interesting historical figures during some of the very well known key moments of their life, and attempt to find your fractured family, make your siblings see the truth of the cult by either saving or killing them while weakening the hold of the Cult of Cosmos has on the Greek world by picking every remaining member off one by one. Call of Cthulhu released on October 30th, 2018, and it was set in 1924 New England, like any good old-fashioned Lovecraft tale. You play as Edward Pierce, a private investigator and World War I veteran, suffering from some serious PTSD causing Pierce to self-medicate with alcohol and sleeping pills. Always a winning combination. You are hired to look into the missing persons case of one Sarah Hawkins, a Boston woman who married into the strange and even slightly infamous Hawkins family that runs the small island town of Darkwater just off the coast. Pierce arrives to a rundown fishing town filled with short-tempered and out-of-work fishermen and sailors that don't like talking to no mainlanders about nothing, where the madness can begin. It doesn't take long to figure out that there's something very dark and tentacly secret being kept in this town by the villagers and town's elite alike. The game provides the illusion of choice in the storyline, where you can decide just how much of the eldritch influence and madness you will embrace, resulting in endings that can have Pierce being the chosen vessel of the old one, or just a townie observer watching these islanders drift deeper and deeper into an insane and degenerate feral state. Kingdom Hearts, the story so far, released on October 30th and is a compilation of 9 previous Kingdom Hearts titles spanning over multiple gaming devices, which made it difficult for fans to get the whole story all on one platform. This was a way to engage an entirely new generation to Kingdom Hearts and increase the target market for the release of Kingdom Hearts 3, which was released a couple of months later in 2019. The games featured what was felt to be the core of the story and reference material relevant to Kingdom Hearts 3 and the final chapter Prologue 2.8, bringing the epilogue to Birth by Sleep and the prologue to Kingdom Hearts 3. Within the catalogue of games featured remasters from final mix versions of the original Kingdom Hearts and Number 2 and Birth by Sleep, along with remastered cinematics from 358 by 2 Days and Recoded, with a complete redesign of Chain of Memories. This collection was initially only going to be released in the USA, but after an unexpectedly successful launch and high sales, the release was eventually expanded further afield. LEGO DC Supervillains was released on October 16th, 2018. What? Yes, another LEGO title in the same episode. I said I loved LEGO, didn't I? And yes, we are doing this. I will fight you. It's good to be bad sometimes, fresh off the recent and successful release of a certain Unalive Squad in 2016. Here comes DC riding the villain's gimmick for all it's worth. Look, we all know a licensing cash grab when we see one, and this is totally one of them. Dark Knight Joker, but it is a cash grab done well, and we can forgive them for that. This game revolves around Joker, Harley Quinn, Lex Luthor, and a bunch of other members of the Legion of Doom, stumbling upon the evil plot by Earth 50's Justice Lords, an authoritarian version of this universe's Justice League, to replace the members of the Justice League with their Earth 50 counterparts to take over this version of Earth. Supervillains must now turn superhero and save the world. Well, kind of. Okay, semi-kind of superheroes. Okay, not that either. The lesser of two evils, let's just say. Yeah, that works. In an attempt to stop the Justice Lords taking over Earth, while also trying really hard to prevent those pesky super zeros taking from their Earth coming back too. The game features some really cute takes on some really dark DC source material, and also includes some top voice acting, using almost all of the usual DC voice actors to play their parts in the game, i.e. Mark Hamill as the Joker and the late Kevin Conroy as Batman. And I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know what you think, if you think this series could be very promising and you would like to see more, and we'll get a November review very, very soon for you. Until then, guys, check out below and click on that lovely like button and subscribe button if you want to see more of this type of content in the future. And of course, check out all my other links down below as well. Until next time, guys, Shláinte.